What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at some of the biggest stories out there, including Vince McMahon having no respect for Matt Riddle, McMahon's deep pockets, WWE posts record profits. He also speaks on his competition. Is it the end of the WWE Network? The real reason Rusev has been off television, who won this week in the Wednesday Night War, the aftermath of the lashes on AEW, Angle takes a dig at TNA, and has Goldberg's opponent for Super Showdown been revealed? Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But let's waste no further time and get straight into the first story, as Vince McMahon reportedly has no respect for Matt Riddle. Now, there have been numerous moments last year where NXT bro Matt Riddle hasn't been afraid to share his opinions of wrestlers and legends on social media. Riddle has shown his disdain for Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, and even AEW's Chris Jericho. He has actually shown respect for some WWE superstars like The Undertaker, commenting on Taker's social media page after the bout at Super Showdown 2019 saying, "P.S. Undertaker is a stallion and is a true legend, so he's not just a strutting shit talker like Conor McGregor." However, his cockiness and inability to keep his mouth shut on social media has affected the other way wrestlers see him, even if he hasn't talked about them, leading to some backstage heat. But it seems, however, that it isn't just wrestlers he's pissed off backstage, but the boss too. Some hints were initially dropped after news surfaced of his confrontation with Lesnar backstage at the Royal Rumble, ultimately pissing off one of Vince's top guys, which resulted in a very quick elimination. "Dave, I'm no longer friends with Jim Cornette," Meltzer explained that right now, Vince isn't a big fan of the bro. He mentioned, regarding social media, the issues with Vince McMahon and Matt Riddle are due to his social media posts and challenges. Brock Lesnar doesn't like him for it, and Lesnar has tremendous pull with Vince. Vince also sees him as an outside guy and feels Riddle has no respect for the hierarchy of the business by challenging Goldberg and Lesnar. As we mentioned before, Riddle has a tendency to run his mouth, and the way respect and such is earned backstage with fellow wrestling peers is certainly not done in this type of manner. It seems that we have seen an increase of wrestlers taking it upon themselves to create their own feuds on social media, but of course WWE management surely wouldn't take kindly to this, otherwise would have the likes of Akira Tozawa calling out Brock Lesnar every week. It's just not the way it works. Riddle has to be patient. I'm sure his time will come, he's actually very talented, but again, his mouth is going to get him into trouble one day. Next up, McMahon's deep pockets. With the shocking exit of WWE's two co-presidents, many people were left wondering what the hell happened, as it seemed to come so out of the blue. Well, according to Meltzer, the real reason for the firings was down to money. It appears the duo wanted to keep WWE's finances tight in order to turn a stronger profit, while Vince felt the opposite. He wanted to spend as much money as necessary in order to keep talent under contract and away from AEW. Since Vince is the man in charge, it was always inevitable he was going to win this argument, but this has now reportedly left the company without a succession plan for the time being, should McMahon unexpectedly pass away or retire. We can only hope they get something new in place soon to ease stockholders' understandable concerns. Of course, Vince continuing to hand out long-term deals for vast amounts of money and keeping those said talents on the bench isn't a good business plan. We understand Vince's reasoning, as he wants to keep any talent signing up with the competition, but we're sure investors and stockholders weren't happy with this. Next up, WWE posts record profits. All eyes were carefully turned to the recent WWE Q4 2019 investors call, as people wondered how the company would spin the sudden exit of Barrios and Wilson, as well as the subsequent stock drop as a result. Well, it looks like they had an ace in the hole after all. During the call, WWE reported a record $180 million in profit over the last quarter, and much of this is no doubt down to their deals with Fox and the Saudi Arabian government. As well as this, there's also been a 20% increase to SmackDown viewership since its move to Fox, and a 10% increase in views across digital platforms, so it looks like the company will be safe for some time yet. Vince also spoke on his competition. Now, one more piece of information that came from the investors call was Vince McMahon believed NXT was doing extremely well in its ongoing battle with AEW. This is despite AEW regularly trouncing the yellow brand in the ratings. Nothing against NXT of course, but it's undeniable that at the moment AEW is winning the war, so it's hard to take McMahon's words as anything but spin. Vince also stated he doesn't believe AEW have changed WWE's product at all, as they're too focused on their own characters and storylines. AEW has not changed our content at all because it's all about our characters, the storylines and resolutions. So it really hasn't changed our point of view in terms of what we present. We don't need more edgy content as you call it. PG, we're one of the few programs out there that really is PG. How much of this McMahon genuinely believes and how much of it is just a way to appease investors is up for you to decide. Next up, the end of the WWE Network? I don't think any of us saw this one coming, as during the Q4 earning report, it was mentioned that WWE was looking to evaluate strategic alternatives for the company's direct-to-consumer service, the WWE Network. And many people have taken this choice of wording as very curious and have already begun speculating on whether this means major changes to the network are coming, with some suggesting that it may even end altogether. These fears have been further heightened by speculation that WWE is currently in talks to sell upcoming pay-per-view rights to another as of yet unnamed major streaming service. It should be noted that George Barrios and Michelle Wilson were reportedly the key proponents behind the network's launch, and with them now out of the picture, this could pave the way for a major shake-up to come. Next up, WWE moving a big NXT superstar to Raw. We recently saw Charlotte Flair turn up on NXT. Now could we see an NXT superstar turn up to Raw? Well, the Wrestling Observer newsletter confirmed that the Queen of Spades Shayna Baszler will be on the red brand shortly. Shayna Baszler will be a regular on Raw shortly. She's leaving NXT and this has been planned for a long time, probably close to a year, so the thing about not wanting to transfer stars in NXT to the main roster and give the idea NXT is developmental or a stepping stone rather than a third brand doesn't apply to her. This could be in order to set up a Becky Lynch vs Shayna Baszler match at Wrestlemania. It's been a matchup that many of us have been waiting for. Next up, the real reason Rusev has been off television. So Rusev, he's been involved in one of the biggest angles of 2019 going into 2020, so why was he missing from this week's edition of Monday Night Raw? Well, even though we reported in a recent video regarding wild speculation, like he and Lana have actually split in real life or creative just doesn't have anything for Rusev at the moment, that is incredibly hard to believe as considering he is in one of the biggest angles right now and would assume this would be carrying on until WrestleMania. Some other speculation was that he was injured. Well, the situation isn't as complicated as that, as right now Rusev and WWE are reportedly in negotiations for a new contract, and so far neither party has come to an agreement. Dave melt in my mouth and not in my hands Meltzer revealed Rusev has been off television due to a contract dispute. It's not been disclosed how much time Rusev has left on his contract or what part of the negotiations fell through on it. Hopefully we'll learn more in the next coming days. Next up, who won this week in the Wednesday Night War? It's week 18 and let's cut out all the faff. AEW managed to come out on top again as it drew 928,000 viewers while NXT only managed 777,000. NXT managed to increase viewership from week 17 by around 58,000 more viewers, and AEW did the same as it increased with around 100,000 more viewers. Damn, quite a lot of people wanted to see Cody get his lashes. But even though AEW won this week, it's not fair to assume NXT was rubbish. Both were solid shows and it just boils down to a matter of opinion, so let's keep it cool in the comments down below. Speaking of those lashes, what was the aftermath? Now those who tuned into Dynamite this week will have seen the highly emotional main event segment where Cody Rhodes endured 10 lashes with a leather belt from MJF. During the broadcast, you could already see the welts beginning to show on his back, and for those wondering how it looked afterwards, AEW's Twitter account posted a photo that is absolutely horrific looking at. Viewer discretion is certainly advised for this one, as Cody's back is cut up to shreds, and hopefully this one doesn't leave any scars. Next up, Kurt Angle takes a dig at TNA. Now, the Olympic gold medalist has made his feelings known on his former employer's Impact Wrestling in a recent interview with Mark Freund of Who Television, where he said that it was unfortunate his best years were with a smaller company. This has to sting for those who are still within Impact to hear the Olympic gold medalist talk so negatively about their company. While Kurt certainly had a great run in TNA, we think his earlier WWE run might have been even better. And our last story, has Goldberg's opponent for Super Showdown been revealed? Now, it's been recently reported that Goldberg will be making his wrestling return to WWE at the Super Showdown 2020 event. We haven't seen Big Bill ever since he squashed Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam. But who's next though? Who does WWE have in mind to be the sacrificial lamb to Big Bad Billy Boy? Well, it's none other than Bray Wyatt. Yes, reports are saying that it will be none other than The Fiend to face Goldberg at the pay-per-view. Now I know what you're thinking. What a terrible idea. How is The Fiend ever going to recover from such a squash and perhaps lose his title? Well, this would actually be an incredible way for Goldberg to pass the proverbial torch, as Wyatt could be the one to unexpectedly squash Goldberg, retaining the title. After all, he put over The Undertaker at last year's Showdown, so could Bill be 0-2 come February? Let us know what you think of the match down below in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.